Hi, Joe here at Willie Cottage, just for the beginner and intro. Just thought I would start doing weekly videos of generally just my working day and what I get up to when I'm not working. So I'm dyeing today. I'm just going to put you back a little bit, and I don't mean dyeing of the death, I mean dyeing wool. Okay, so I've got some Teeswater locks in the pot. I'm just going to do 2 batches today, and I've got a Roving that I want to dye up as well, so I can get that listed on the website. But I think I'm going to make a brew while I'm stood here. Just move this out of the way. So yeah, the locks I got are from a farm in Clitheroe, who I usually get my supplies from. So I've ended up getting second cut Teeswater locks, which means they're a little bit shorter than my usual. Usually I get the first clip, which are generally about anything from 27 up to 32 centimetres long, but these ones are shorter. So there we go, roughly up to about 12 centimetres, maybe a little bit more depending on certain areas when it comes to the fleece itself. So yeah, so that's what I'm doing. So I buy these in kilo bags, partly for budget. I don't have the biggest budget going, but then you'll find a lot of micro businesses don't have a big budget. They keep a little bit of the profits for themselves, and the rest of it, especially in your first couple of years, you put back into your business. It just makes more business sense, and it means that you're not using credit or anything like that. I'm a cash-based business, so I only buy what I need when I need it. So yeah, I get my Wensleydale fleece in a kilo bags, and BFL. I can get Masham, but I'm not a massive fan of Masham. I find the locks are really quite dull, even though they can be really long. They're a dull lock, but they're lovely and curly. But I always feel that a little bit dry because they've got not got a very big, not got a shine on them. So yeah, so that's what I normally do. I am always on the lookout for more new suppliers because I desperately want to get hold of some Cotswold fleeces because they're supposed to have quite long locks as well. Gotland as well. There's a farm up in Penrith that do Gotland sheep, but I always keep forgetting to message out to her to see if she's got any fleeces available for me to buy, but we'll see. Maybe in the spring I might reach out to her before then. And the lady that I got my Kent Romney fleece from, I'm on her waiting list for her kid mohair goats. So she's got some young ones that are due for their first clip this year in spring. So my name's down for one of them fleeces as well. So yeah, that'll be nice to have that in. I've never processed an actual kid mohair fleece. I've had Surrey alpaca, which is lovely, but the fleece that I got for that was really quite full of VM, which has been an absolute nightmare. So I've never sold it. It's just in my own personal projects. I do now and again add it in, but only in small quantities, because I have to sit there and pick every single grain of grass out of it. It's a bit of a trial and tribulation to do it, or a labour of love, really. No, it's a pain. So yeah, just doing locks. Just stick the kettle on, won't I? Make myself a tea. So who have we got? I can see 2 people watching. Hi, if you're new, it's Joe. 3. Introduce yourself so I know who is there. I can't see names. It's not like Instagram, where I can see who's popped on. But if you want to have a chat, ask me any questions, whatever. That's what I'm here for. So yeah, it's just really, what I thought it would be good for see what I get up to, is because usually Saturdays on my Instagram, it's literally just having a right good natter, me pottering about doing what I'm doing, or sitting doing my locks. Weekend just gone, I was doing planting seeds for dyers plants. So hiya Anne, I can see John Rushmore's account. Hello sweetie. First ever live. Well, this is officially my second, because I did do it last week. Do you know, I can't get this arm to come up any higher. Where we go? Hold on a minute. Let me see if I can squeeze. Nope, not that one. I feel like I'm bending, and I'm only short. See into my kitchen. In the middle of, we've got as far as the kitchen window I'm painting. Moving bits and pieces around. Make a bit more space for myself. Look, see, I've dunked again. Right, it's my head. There we go. That's better. And if Amelia's here, when she turns up, Mr. Phil's off today, Amelia. She likes it when Mr. Phil's around. She always says hello, Mr. Phil. So I'm dyeing locks today. So if you've got any colour requests, let me know and I will stick a pot on. So we are just over here in the tray. That one there. So I've got blues and browns in there. Do you know, I've got a thing for blues and browns at the moment. I just think this time of the year it's a nice cosy colours. And I think I might go with blues and browns on dyeing this Roving. I've got some Tencel and Merino. Oh, give me your cup, Mr. Phil. You feel I have to put the kettle on, which is very rare. I don't usually put the kettle on.
No, you don't do that.
No, I don't do kettle coffees. There, see, I'm thinking again. I'm thinking again. Oh, your first ever live account, Anne. Well, congratulations, love. It's all right. It'll be fine. Don't touch it. It'll fall again, Mr. Philip.
Well, I'll turn it on.
It's like amateur hour. Yeah, amateur hour at Joe's house. Hold on a second. Oh dear. I've got the big selfie and it's got a little mind of its own. I did a virtual market once and the head in it kept going, so by the end of it I ended up like 2.5 feet shorter trying to talk into it without anybody noticing that it was sliding down. Oh dear. Right, move this out of the way. So I'm dyeing up 200 grams of Merino and Tencel blend. So I'm debating whether to do it as one gigantic braid for the website with a load of locks, because the last time I did that it did sell. Or to do a blend with it. We'll see how it comes out and how pretty it looks as to which one I do. So yeah, this is Joe at home on a normal day. Just make him a coffee. I forgot he was off today. Oh. And I'm just waiting to see if Danielle turns up, because she was asking me last night on Instagram when I put my little reel up of my art yarn, which it wasn't turning half as well as it was last time. Yeah, my art yarns. What about how much wool she would need for doing the weave along, and what's EPI and things like that. To be fair, that sort of stuff I'm going to start talking about and getting into. Not next week's video, but the week after, because it will be in February, so it's probably easier to do it then instead of repeating myself the same information all the time. But I do have a book I would advise to get if you're not sure on all the information. Now you can get the Weaver's Handbook. They usually retail for about £20–25 depending on where you go. But this book here, it's back to front, it's Spin to Weave book, and it's by Sarah Lamb, and it gives you all the basic, quick, straight to the point information that you need for weaving with. And this is the book I would advise if you don't want to go and buy the big Weaver's Handbook if you haven't already got it. And it's actually written by Interweave as well, like the Weaver's Handbook is. That's the one I would advise getting, just for the, as I say, for the quick notes, the straight to the point information that you need for doing it. So it, like for making this Pygora shawl, but it's one of those ones that's actually a hood at the same time. So all the information goes in there for making it. So 2-ply Pygora measured by 18's width per inch. They had enough of the fibre for 3 yards or 2.7 metres with a warp set at 15 EPI. So yeah, we'll talk about all that later down the line, because to be fair, I am not a technical spinner, I am not a technical weaver, but this is information that I have to repeatedly learn myself for it to actually stay in my head to become second nature. But we'll go through all that. So Danielle, if you catch this later on, if you're out on the school run or whatever, then yeah, I think you best watch out, not next week but the week after. I will start talking about how it gets started and what we need to know before we start deciding about fibres and things like that for our weave along. Let me just grab a tea. Oh. So I posted out your order yesterday, Anne. So and I stuck in some extra locks for you, love. So I've done that yesterday with all the batty clubs. They all went out yesterday as well, and a couple of orders to America. So that's me clear, and don't have to see the post office again till Tuesday, Friday, if any orders come in. 'Cause I do my posting orders on a Tuesday and a Friday. If anybody's done anything over the weekend, it gets out at the same time. It just makes life so much easier if you sort of plan your week ahead. So those are just about done, I think. Nearly. Yeah, nearly done. So what else? Oh yeah, no problem. I always like to, the last that I send on a regular basis to America, I've got a couple, but this one lady orders off me nearly every week or every couple of weeks, and she always says I'm in no rush. I'm like, well, I'm posting out anyway, so there's no point in me leaving your parcel sitting there to Friday to post out, if I'm going to post office anyway. Right, Phil, milk for your coffee. Right, so what else? Yes, so it's just pottering about really. So I'd say I'd put you down, but apparently I'll move you around in a minute. But I'm going to just throw these locks, now that they are practically done, and get them in the sink. Scoop of citric acid. Right, that's it. So I'm going to go, I'll turn you so you can actually see what I'm doing in here. So there we go. So I'm going with, I think I'm going with greens on this one. Greens and a sandy base. And I literally just put the water in, with the locks straight into the water with the citric acid. And these have all been washed in the sink. They went through 3 times last night. So I put them through in the sink 3 times from clear out all the lanolin that's in there. I always find this, if there's any still residue lanolin in them, even when I'm washing them, it all comes out. You just have to remember to make sure that the water is at least 70 degrees. So like, ouch, hand hot. And that's the only way you're going to remove the lanolin. And then before the water gets to like lukewarm, then give it a quick swill, gentle swill around the water. I push it to one side. I've got videos of how I do mine. And then I refill up the sink again. But I always do the first wash without anything in there, just hot water on its own, just to help remove most of that dirt in there. These must be on a clay bed field or something like that, because they always come out like a sandy sort of colour, the dirt. So yeah, and then I fill up the sink again, but with eco-friendly, no enzymes, washing, just normal detergent. And then once I've done that, again, push it to one side in the sink and then empty it and then refill it up again and do the exact same detergent wash. And then generally I've got to about the right colour that I'm looking for the water. So you don't really want a cloudy colour in the water. You want it to look more or less clear. Then once I've done that, I put in just plain water, hot water again into the sink. That gets rid of the residue of the soap suds. And that should be more or less it for a cloud clear. If you want to sell the locks as as natural and not dyed, then I would probably do I would probably end up doing 3 washes in detergent and 2 in plain water to get a really good clean lock, fleece even. But generally my locks, I very rarely sell them as natural. I always sell them as dyed. So what am I going to use on this one? I think I'm going to go for what we got? Blue Steel, Sea Spray, Baby Blue Eyes, Soft Tan. I want some soft tan in here. So I'm just going to do a bit of a sprinkle. So I end up with mixed colours in my locks. So I just sprinkle on the top first. And I want more soft tan than I actually want of the green. So I want it quite nice. Mixed palette. And then I'm going to use, I think, some of this chocolate brown. So I get this chocolate brown from Siobhan Crafts. So I think I will cover over this middle section here. And I like this chocolate brown because it actually breaks. So you end up with like lovely little coppery tones in the actual the wool once it's dyed. And I think, shall I go with moss green? Bit of moss green. I think, did I pull out the pistachio? I've got sage leaf. I might go with moss green up in this corner. I feel woodland walk coming on. Right, that'll do for that. And then I shall go with, what else? Lichen down this end. Just in this corner up here, that'll do. Now where was it? Tornado Grey. I'm going to go with Tornado Grey because it's actually got purple pigments in the background on this. I don't want a lot, but I'm going to put them down here. Just a bit in there. That'll do, that's more than enough. And I think I might go with a bit of honey mustard to represent daffodils in the wood. So I'll sprinkle some of this down here, and this has got a little bit of a green undertone in, so it should match quite well with the colours that I've already got going on in this. Just put that there. So I'm just going to give them a squelch down so the dye hits the bottom of the locks. There we go. Just let that do its thing. So, have you got any questions, Anne? Oh, push you back a bit. You can ask me any questions. If I don't know the answer, I will go find it. Oh. Okay, so I'm just going to go and grab my large tray because my Roving's been sat in the water for a while, so it's ready to go in. And I'll just get a scoop of citric acid again. Right, that'll do for that. I'll fill the kettle up with some water so I can fill the tray up. So if you've got any questions, Sam, or whoever else is watching, just fire away. So yes, I should be using a mask while I'm doing this, but to be fair, the windows are open and I don't do massive amount, not at the moment, waiting to see how this latest weaving will work out. Used a Whimsy plus a bit of stash. Oh right, okay, use one of the Whimsy bats. Yeah, they're quite sweet, them ones. I'm going to do some more mini bat sets, hopefully next week. I won't do any... I think I won't be doing any 100-gram bats next week because I've got quite a few sat there still in stock. And I've been using a couple, I've been using some old 200-gram bats for making art yarn. So there's one of, like the other half of those is sat waiting to get relisted. So I've got quite a lot of 100 grams, but I'll do some smaller packs for, again for next week along with my 200-gram sets as well. And then get them on the go. Right, where's the end of that? That's the top, that's the bottom. Hold on, where are we at? Nope. Okay, so I'm just gonna do this. Can't really see what I'm doing, can you? Wait a minute. Usually when I'm doing my rovings, I would layer them so up and down, up and down, up and down. But this one, I've actually got 200 grams of here. So it's going to be a bit of a squeeze, but I do want some white patches showing out on this roving anyway. So I'm doing it lengthways, and then I can make a gradient. I have more control on the colour, so I can have the colour starting up here and all the way up here, and then by the time I get to this end, it's the colour I want it to be. So a gradient dye on this one. For definite. If I was doing it lengthways, usually that's when I just add in splashes of colour and things like that. I only ever use my big dye pot for doing solid colours. Just give that a push up. Try and fit the last of this in. So this is merino tencel that I'm dyeing. I love dyeing the blended yarns because they're so pretty when they with the effects that you can get from them. Oh, and I managed to get Welder Wool's restocked that wool I was looking for last week, the one with the flax and the silk and the merino in it. So I've ordered that for my weave along. And my brain keeps thinking I want to go like nice chocolate browns with blues and maybe a hint of gold or yellow or something like that, or a marigold, or in my on my weave along for my weaving, for my spinning. So that's what I'm thinking. That's where my brain's heading when it comes to that. Because we were talking about that on Saturday, weren't we? So at the moment, that's where my head's at. I'll just plonk that there for now. I don't need that anymore. Move that kettle. Yeah, so that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking more blues, you know, like that, like an indigo blue, and then like a steel blue, and maybe a denim blue, with lovely chocolate browns, and then using Welder Wool's. Can you show us how to spin a gradient roving, please? Something I'd like to use for the swag. Good news about if I know my favourite wool. I know, so sad. I was having a right old whinge about it last week. I'm sure I've got a video from last year on there showing about how to spin up a gradient roving, but yes, I will do that, because the ones that I'm going to get, I've ordered 600 grams of that fibre, of that roving. And when I was doing, I mean, to say, we'll talk about it another time, but when I was doing my pinafore, I didn't ply up the wool together. I did it as a single woolen yarn plied up with linen. because I didn't want it to be overly heavy, and the dress has got a bit of weight to it anyway. But I did it as a single ply, and it meant that I had enough wool for doing my warp and for doing my weft. So I find that really useful, because then you're doubling the length of wool that you've got, wool yarn, to create something if you're doing it that way. So the cones of linen I get, so I've got an example here. I usually use them for my art spinning, because you've got my glass beads sat on there, plonked on. But this is Victor linen. So it's pure, strong, coloured linen. It's a 2/4 ply. For these cones alone, they're about 250 metres, and they're not expensive. I get mine from a company called Airedale Yarns, and you can get loads of different colours. This is the lilac. I've had the lemon one, and I've got the baby blue one over there, and I've got a gold one as well. But this is the linen that I use to ply up the wool for doing my pinafore dress that's upstairs. It's really strong, and as time goes by, it softens just as soft as the wool is with use and wear and washing things and stuff like that. So I love buying these ones, and as I use them for usually spinning with my for plying against my art yarns. I just like the feel of them, and they're really, really strong, and you can't snap them. You need a pair of scissors to do it. But that's what I use to give the extra strength in the singles spun wool. Ply it with that, and it's more than enough strength in there to be able to use it for warping. As I say, I mean, I don't know about yourself, but I mean, I can get my spinning down for 100 grams of fibre. If I was to ply it, just shy of 200 yards. So that would mean I'm getting 400 yards from a single, and then I can ply it with this. And there's 600 metres. Was it 600 metres? I'm sure that's supposed to be 600 yards, but it's a 200 gram cone of linen yarn that I've got here. I think it's what is it? 2-ply? Can't really see. But yeah, if you go to airedaleyarns.co.uk, I will see if I can drop a link in it later on. You'll find them on Instagram, you'll find them on Facebook with the links to the website. They're based in Yorkshire, or Yorkshire, or sort of Yorkshire, Lancashire sort of area. Lovely young couple that run this business, and there's all sorts of fibres that you can buy on there, especially if you want to apply single and save yourself a bit of money when it comes to your blends. This is nowhere even, I don't even think it was 6-7 quid or something like that in the very max. And they've always got a little special offers on it as well. They do sales now and again. But that's what I use when it comes to do my plying for making things like that. I just find it makes it a bit more lightweight. Something that you can then wear in the warmer days. And it's just easier. It cuts down my spinning time for doing a project so much more. I generally tend to do that a lot if I'm doing a woven project, or if I'm crocheting as well. I've done that many a time with crocheting, where I didn't want something that was really heavily wooled, and I've just plied it with a very thin cotton, or even sounds like a good plan. My spinning is still a bit thick, but just under DK. So did you say a 2.4? 2.4? No, that comb's 200 grams. Is it 200 gram cone? Hold on a minute, let me just double check the other one. This is a 200 gram cone. I think it's a 2-ply. So if it's a 2-ply, there's 600 meters on these cones. And it's called Victor Linen. That's the title. Yeah, and it actually says to warp, stitch, crochet, weave, braid and knit with. So it's quite versatile, the linen. Well, we all know it's a really versatile thing anyway, but as I say, I use it for plying, and it just makes my spinning go a long way. But my spinning, I can spin off a single, and I'm like, oh, that's really, really thin, and then I'll ply it, and it'll be a DK weight. So no matter how much I try, I genuinely cannot get it really thin enough to call it a 4-ply. But yes, I will definitely, when I get my wool all dyed up and I start doing the actual videos for it, then I will be showing how to do it. But I will have a look. I can always, if I can find the video, the size thickness, well, it says it's either 2 or 4-ply. I think this is 2. I personally think this is 2-ply. But when I come off of Iran, I will, oh, looks like 4 threads. It is. Oh, see, you can't quite tell because there's 6 threads in there, so how would you know? What I'll do is I will drop you a link and a screenshot to the cone that I'm on about. But if you just, as I say, go onto Airedale Yarns and type in Victor Linen in the search bar, and you will get the listing on there for this. But if you can't and you can't find it, let me know and I will just get a screenshot of the actual product that I'm on about, and the link to the website. But yeah, definitely I find it easier. I do the same when I'm doing a warping and I want to use some of my hand spun, but then I'll use a mass manufactured 4-ply or a lace weight cone. Maybe I've ordered it by accident and I know that I'll never be able to sell it. Then I'll use that as a ply, but I'll dye that up as a solid colour to go against something that I've spun from a bat, just to give it a different representation. Or pick a colour out of that bat that might not be very strong and just highlight it. Say like a green, but there's mostly, I don't know, purples or whatever in the bat, but there's hints of green. Then I would dye the yarn that I want to spin it up with in that same shade of green, and it just gives it a completely different contrast. Right, so I'm going to do this. So what's next? Where's my little pots? They're all in my room. Right, I'm just going to sprinkle my dyes on. So I think I'm going to go with, not that, where are you going, Joe? Tornado Grey. So I'm going to work from the bottom up. I'm just going to sprinkle this in because I don't mind if I've got white sticking through the bottom. And I don't want to do a dye stock up because I'll end up overfilling my tray with too much moisture. So sometimes doing a bit of speckling, and if I feel like I want more in it, I can always add to it. And then I think I'll go with, what have I got? Moss green, lichen, soft tan. Where's the blue steel? There it is. Add in some blue steel, which will blend just nicely with this Tornado Grey. There we go. I think that'll just about do that. And then I'm going to add in some baby blue eyes. So I was thinking about what videos to do for next week. I did put a suggestion on my Facebook page, but nobody ever answers when I ask people questions. So I don't know what to do for next week. Do I do my Storyteller blending bats, which the video was back, I think I did that back in October. And it was 3 bats dyed and blended to a colour theme of 3 pictures. And it was using practically the same dye pot for all 3 bats, but created a completely different look for each one of them from the same dye pots, like the same colour batches, but different proportions or percentages of certain colours on each bat. So like one had more red in it and grey and white, one had very little red in it, but it was more browns and blacks. And then the other one I think was more of a dusky colour, very, very soft sea spray, like a dusky mint, but it was really, really pale, so it looked like fog hitting the tops of trees. So I did that. So I'm wondering whether to do that again, or would anyone want me to do a felting video, or even another, that's a brilliant idea, good idea. Yeah, well, that's what I was wondering. The link is actually in October's videos of what I did with that. I actually only just got round to selling the last one, which was the woodland one. The first 2 went really, really quickly. Right, I think I'm going to leave that last bit. Oh, I might put a bit of tan on actually. Where are we at? Tan. Soft tan. yeah, it come out really, really nice. So I don't know whether to do that or if I was going to do a wet felting video or something next week, because I do have quite a few felting clients. I like to have a little dabble now and again, so I'm always thinking what else I can do. Right, where is my tongs? I'll give that. My house is wonky, so I have to. You did watch, or did you buy the last one? The was it the Wanderer or something? I can't remember what it was called now. But yeah, there was 2 other bats that went with that. I have to turn my trays around because my house is wonky. So if I don't turn it around, this side doesn't get dyed up. Right, so I'm just going to squish these dies in now that they've had a chance to sort of sit there and just soak in a bit and open up my wool so it goes in, my roving. Make sure these ends, the knuckles, are quite happy in there. Bit of a swish around. I may end up having to add a bit more baby blue to it. Sometimes you can't see the colours until the heat starts on them, and then it starts to evaporate and the pigments open up, but this water's still quite cold. There we go, that will do for now. Put the heat on. So about 36 minutes, that's not too bad, my throat's not getting too sore yet. I've got a book coming today that I ordered last week. I had to wait for it to come into stock, and it is actually the breed, what was it called? I'm sure it's called Sheep to Spin, and it's by an American lady. I'll show it on when I do my Instagram chat on Saturday. Oh, but she delves with 100 different, come on oven, 100 different types of sheep breeds, but then tells us how to, oh come on, what's going on? No, it doesn't want to blink in. No, that one's working. Let's try the back ring instead. Right, so yeah. There we go. Yeah, so she spins up 100 different sheep breeds, and it's all about, it's like a directory, and she describes the best ways to spin specific breeds of sheep, and like the wool from them. So I thought that was really, really interesting, because I've never had a book like that. I don't really do spinners books. But this one's all about the different breeds of wool and the best ways to spin the fibres up, or preparation of the fibres to get the best potential out of it, which I thought, well, that sounds really interesting. So that's supposed to be coming today. I bought that last week, so I've waited patiently for a week for this flaming book, and that'll probably be I say probably, more than likely be the only book that I buy this year, because I've got I think I've got quite a good collection of books for what I do and what I need for. So yeah, so I'm just gonna wait for this. Let's try and get that one on the bottom. Mute that down a bit, and that baby blue. So yeah, I thought it was quite interesting. But I mean, you can get your spinners books, but sometimes I think they just go into it too technical, that it just sort of seems to just fly over the top of your head, and you can't really retain the information. Whereas that book I thought would be really good as a reference book that I can just go and have a look at whenever I feel the need to. And especially when I do my breed studies, then that way I can give a bit more information than I already do on doing them anyway, because I do quite a bit of research on those. I think next month, if I could squeeze it in, or on a day during the week when I'm not busy, and then have it sat on YouTube to premiere sometime next month. But next month I'm definitely due a breed study again, so I'll have to have a look upstairs. I do have Dutch spotted fleece, and that's upstairs, that I got from the Orkney Shepherdess. So I think that might be due to get whizzed out the bag, the box. It's still in the same box, never been opened. So I think I might pull that out and give that a wash, and then I can get some of that listed on the shop. You're enjoying the books I recommended, certainly improving my skills. Oh, thank you very much. As I say, you don't need a massive collection. Some books you just really, really love to sit and flick through, like my Yarn Architecture. That's a really good book. And oh, Ashley Martineau, her books are quite interesting, but they've got nice pictures in them. And I don't want to say that sounding like a right moron, but sometimes it's the pictures that make, like, it just clicks in your head. I'm a monkey see, monkey do. So I like to watch visually to learn. If it's all down in written form, that's fine if it's technical and I need that information. But otherwise, I need to see people doing it for me to realise what it is that I've got to do. And then I can just go off it and do it on my own. I don't need coaxing any longer than that. So what's it? What time are we at? 40 minutes. You know what? I think I will call it quits for today. 40 minutes, a long time. Just you and me stood here chatting. You like the picture? Yeah, the same as me. The pictures definitely help. They help a lot when it comes to trying to learn new information and retaining the information. But if you're into dabbling in a little bit of art spinning, go and have a look at a woman from, I'm sure she's from Lancashire somewhere, Pinky Punky, on YouTube. And she's who I learned. I've just looked over, there's a cat trying to get in through the window, but the window's shut. And I've moved my dresser, because usually you can see him, I've got a tall window, and usually you can see him sitting on the window ledge, and he's like, no, I can't get in. Why can't anybody see me? It's because the dresser sat in front of it, love. Yeah, Pinky Punky, P-U-N-K-I, P-U-N-K-I. She has an Etsy shop, but she only lists things every so often. But she's done a degree in fibre arts and things like that years ago, and she does a lot of teaching. But she does sell her art yarns, and she's really, really good at how to do it in a really quite fun way. She doesn't take herself seriously whatsoever. Her videos aren't very long. I would say they're under 10 minutes, most of them. But definitely, if you want to have a little play, go and look up Pinky Punky. Otherwise, you've got Ashley Martineau and ones like that. But then, she's definitely one I watch, because I'll have to watch it for a few minutes. I'm like, that's it. I remember now. Right, I'm off. And I'll go and do what it is that I wanted to do in the first place. But she's the reason why I like to spin my art yarns with beads. I just think it makes it look completely different when you start adding little bits and pieces into them. So, yeah. So, what we at? Right, 42 minutes. So, I think I'm going to leave and say my goodbyes. I'm going to get these wools all washed up and dried, and I need to go and feed my man. So he's got Philly steak and chips in the oven, and the timer's just gone off. So thank you very much, Anne, for coming over and having a chat with me, love. Your first live. It will probably be on a Wednesday or a Thursday that I will do these anyway. You take care of yourself, sweetie. Bye-bye.